Okay. Well, Cody, welcome. Really happy to have you on here. One of the best shortstops I've ever coached. And I've coached a lot of shortstops and a lot of infielders, and just really honored that you could do this for us. If you could quickly just kind of go ahead and give us your background, and kind of what you're up to these days.
Yeah, well, appreciate you saying that. Some very kind words, and thank you for having me on and giving me the opportunity to reach out to some people. But I grew up right outside of Chicago, about 30 minutes southwest of the city. Played baseball and football in high school. I actually wanted to play football in college, but UIC found me. They gave me an opportunity that I couldn't turn down. Wanted to go play some D1 baseball. Played shortstop at UIC for 4 years from 2014 to 2017. Then got drafted by the Astros in the 30th round. Eventually traded to the Mets. Currently this year, I'm getting ready to play in, I think this is my sixth Pro Bowl year. Play with the Chicago Dogs in Rosemont. It's right outside of Chicago too, so it's close to home. It'll be nice to have some family and friends get to finally come out and see me play. It's been a while for them to do that. So just getting ready for the season now. It starts May 12th. Got a couple weeks left to just get the body right, get locked in mentally. So that's what I went up to.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned playing football. You obviously a very good athlete. We tell our kids all the time, we want you guys to play as many sports as possible. So from your experience, what does playing football, or just any other sport, how does that help you in baseball, and why is that important?
I think you definitely, football wise, I mean, specifically just because it's so physical, you have to have that edge. You got to have that you have to be able to straddle the line between confident and cocky.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Carson, stop.
Boy, Carson.
Stop. Gnawing on the bone. Stop. Just relax. Chill out. Okay? Relax. No, lie down. No. Can you not do that? Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay.
You taking a shit?
No, he's chewing on a bone. It's just going.
I can't hear him.
You can't hear him?
No.
All right. Okay, so let's start that over. So, you said you wanted to play football possibly in college, and we tell our kids all the time, I want you guys to play as many sports as you possibly can. What does football help you with in terms of baseball? What do playing other sports help you with baseball?
I think the biggest thing with football was it helped me. Obviously, it's a huge team sport, right? You can't do anything alone. You got to rely on the other 10 guys on the field with you too. So, I mean, that translates to baseball too. You got to be able to just trust yourself, do your job, and then trust the guys around you that they're going to do theirs. And then that's when you really have something special on the field. Otherwise, you have guys that get selfish, or, I mean, only really care about themselves. And in some ways, you do have to be selfish, but at the same time, you got to be a team player. You have to support your teammates. So, I think football really helped me do that and understand that I do have to take care of my job, but I got to trust the guys around me to do theirs too. And then that's when you really put something special out there.
Right. You mentioned before about, confident versus cocky, confident versus arrogant. How does playing other sports help you in that way, and just your overall athleticism?
Football, I mean, we all know it's a very physical and demanding sport, so you can't go out there and be passive and soft in a way. You have to go out there, you got to go get what you want. You got to play aggressive, you got to play fast, you got to trust yourself and your instincts. So that definitely translate in baseball too. If you go in the box scared or thinking that, I mean, the pitcher's better than you, or you're questioning what your mechanics are, or overthinking something, even small or simple, like your timing, that's when the pitcher has the advantage now. You got to go in there confident, trust yourself, treat it as it's a 1v1 dogfight. And you got to go in there with your best effort and your best foot forward and trust that. So football definitely helped me with that, understanding that, I mean, you have to be confident. You can't let the pitcher or the guy, I play defense. So the guy on offense, a receiver or running back or someone think that they have an edge on you or that they're better than you. So it taught me to definitely straddle the line between confidence and cocky, not being a showboat by any means, but trusting yourself and keeping your chest up and your shoulders back and showing that you're the big dog out there. Big dog out there. You're better than the guy on the other side of you.
Right. And you know, from the perspective of playing football, you mentioned how physical it is. You know, we talk a lot in our program about getting out of your comfort zone and playing when things don't feel good, when you don't have your best stuff, if you're tired mentally, tired physically. You know, how has football helped you push through those days where you wake up and you feel like you just don't have it?
Well, I mean, just because it's such a quick pace and fast sport where I miss a tackle, I make a mistake in my assignment. Like I can't sit there and dwell in the moment and kind of feel bad for myself or throw a little pity party because you got another play coming the next play, and if you're not locked in, ready to do your job that play, touchdown's going to get scored or you're going to miss another assignment. And like I mentioned earlier, like you got to control yourself and take care of yourself and do your job and responsibility before you can kind of help someone else. So, I mean, that translates to baseball too. You make an error, you got to get ready for the next pitch to come to you because, I mean, no one's going to feel bad for you or feel sorry for you. You got to be able to put that past you and get locked in and get ready to roll for the next pitch.
Right. From the perspective of, you know, let me think about what I'm trying to say here. You know, you had your fair share of injuries. I saw a couple of them, but I think you've broken some bones. You've been hurt a lot, but never really got taken out of the game unless you're you know, it was your overall health was in jeopardy. But you know, talk about the injuries that you went through. It can be football and college, professionally, whatever it is. Talk about those injuries and how grueling it was to come back from those, and the importance of realizing that pain is temporary. Not to say that, you know, you need to be playing through two broken arms or anything like that, but just talk about that process. And, you know, you've been through it many times. Just talk about each instance and just tell us how you've come back from those setbacks.
Yeah, my mindset always was that, I mean, I felt like the team was better off with me out there, even if I was dealing with something, a broken jaw or a broken hand or mono. So as long as I can perform up to what I believe was still a high standard, I mean, I knew I had to be out there. I felt like I owed it to everyone else and to my teammates and to even myself you can push through more than you really think. Your mind is capable of crazy things, and like you said, pain is temporary. I mean, it's going to go away. You only got 4 years in college, or I mean, you don't know how long your pro career is going to happen for. So fortunate enough, I really didn't have anything too crazy in high school. I tore some ligaments in my ankle my senior year, so I missed the last 5 games. I tried to give it a go my senior year and our one playoff game, but just wasn't able to do my job. So again, that kind of sucked. I felt like I was letting the team down, so I never wanted to feel like that again. So I just did whatever I had to do to get out there, whether it was my freshman year, I broke my jaw, I got hit by a pitch, and I wore a hockey helmet on defense. Didn't matter how silly or stupid I looked. I knew that I was going to do a disservice to my team and to myself if I wasn't able to fight through that and get out there. So I mean, and I just love competing no matter what. So you
Yeah.
you you have some pain or some discomfort. In a way, it kind of helps you not think about whatever mechanical things at the plate or something defensively. You can just all you're trying to do is you literally just compete and get out there and try and help your team win. So whenever I could stay on the field, I did my best to do that.
Yeah. So you tore two ligaments in your ankle. You said a broken jaw. What else? Any other injuries?
Two broken jaws, at UIC, a broken hand at UIC. I had mono. I played with an enlarged spleen and a little makeshift spleen pad. Shout out Pat Donovan for making that. So I think that was it.
Yeah. So, I think, especially at a young age, we're a lot softer. We feel pain a little bit harder. We try to tell kids all the time that pain is temporary, but when pain happens, it's like it's the end of the world. So translating that to younger players is a little bit more difficult, and especially when hitters are in their batter's box and a pitch goes inside or there's a curveball thrown right at their face and they duck and dive and get out of the way, and trying to teach them that the reaction can't be to get out of the way. The reaction has to be turn the back, not lean into the pitch, but just turn the back so it hits the bigger parts of the muscles in your back, and so you're not injured. But teaching younger guys not to get out of the way when their sole purpose is I'm going to die if I get hit by the ball. It's tough to teach, and when guys get hit by the ball, it's a little traumatic for them. They start to step in the bucket, they start fading out. So coming from a guy who's had a lot of pain and suffering physically, in baseball, I mean, hearing that pain is temporary and you eventually are going to get better. Are you still hurt today?
No, not at all. Like
Yeah.
you said, it's all temporary. I kind of looked at it as if they're gonna whatever they're gonna hit me, I'll take the base every single time I can get on. Especially when you're going through a slump, you're down 0-2 and pitcher makes a mistake and whatever he throws it in, just turn, wear it. You're helping your team get on. You can look at it that way. It's like yeah, it doesn't feel good. Don't get me wrong. It's and there's a way to go about it where something's coming at your head, you got to get out of the way. Something's coming at your ankles or your feet, get out of the way. So it's not we're not saying that you got to stand in there and if any ball is coming at you, you have to wear it. That's not it at all. So,
Right.
but if you can help your team win, in whatever way that is, whether you go 0 for 0 and you walk or get hit by a couple of pitches, you're doing your team a favor and you're doing your job to help them do whatever it takes to win.
Right. I mean, let's shift focus a little bit. We're talking about physical toughness. What does mental toughness mean? From the perspective of just baseball. And I'm not talking necessarily about like, hiding emotions or not feeling pain. I'm not talking about that. What does mental toughness mean to you in terms of the ability to rebound from some physical pain or some embarrassing moment where you made a mistake or something like that? What does that mean to you?
It's a good question because I think I struggled with what mental toughness meant to me in high school and in college and even into pro ball because um number one, everyone processes certain situations and things differently. So um I think the biggest thing is just understanding that you just have to figure out how to oh damn, I gotta think about this actually.
Think about
It's a
it.
great question. I had a thought and then I lost it.
Sorry, that was me. Wasn't
No,
Carson.
no, this is a great question. Mental toughness and what does it mean to me? Oh, all right, this is it. So mental toughness. I think it's different for each individual person. Because I learned this in pro ball. I wish I learned it earlier. One of our mental skills coaches, and actually it was in AAA where I learned this, and just kind of how to process and get through difficult situations, like you said, an error, a strikeout, you're down 0-2. Um, I always thought I had to play at this high, aggressive, kind of out of control pace and level. And in college, you can kind of do that and get away with it because it's more of a team atmosphere and a team sport. But in pro ball, it's more individualized. And so, the fuck am I saying right now?
Take your time. What is it, buddy? I know.
Oh, all right, I got it now.
Okay, hold on.
I
Thank you.
apologize.
It's all right. Okay, you need to sit down. You need to sit down. Thank you. I know you're the best. All right, go ahead.
So mental toughness. For me in college, it was a lot easier for me to get over things because it was you're in that team environment and all you care about is winning. So I was able to move on from things a lot quicker because I wasn't feeling sorry for myself or kind of saying what was me. I was able to kind of move on because I mean I other guys relied on me. So I had that really I straight out that line between confident and cocky big time in college. I had to look at the guy across from me, whether I mean a pitcher saying that like he's here to take something away from me, like he's here to take my job or take money away from me at the next level. So I had that edge, and I almost had like I was in a fight or flight mode all the time in college, borderline pissed off. So I struggle a little bit with that mental toughness side once I got to pro ball because it's definitely more individualized. Winning obviously is a bonus, but um it's not the first requirement. It's all about development in pro ball. So the transition was a little bit tough. So I struggled with kind of straddling that confident and cocky line. I lost that edge a little bit, and I lost that. It was more of a buddy buddy, trying to be friends with everyone, and that's just not how. For certain people, that's okay. You can play like that. They can play loose and kind of laid back. But I had to, and still do have to find that edge where I'm borderline pissed off and I have something to prove at all times. So, um, mental toughness side is I feel like everyone's got an individual process, and mental toughness for certain people means something different where they can go out there and kind of play super calm and relaxed and not be as vocal. But I feel like when I have that edge and I'm vocal and I'm talking all the time to my teammates and picking guys up, I can play at a higher level and I can get over things quicker and move on a lot quicker and just stay in that confident and cocky mode and level. So to
Yeah.
me, it's you got to understand who you are and kind of how how you play the best or what environment you play the best in and what um what that means to you mentally and in the moment. So when you do something good or when you're playing at a high level, you kind of got to write notes down and kind of understand how you're feeling in that moment and what your thought process is. And then at the same time, when you're struggling, you got to go back to what your baseline is, I guess. It's individualized for everyone, I think. So for me, I got to have that edge. I got to have that pissed off, um, confident attitude, and I can play at my best level when I'm like that. When I dip down a little bit too low, I really got to lock it in and be aware of my senses and my thoughts and how I'm feeling so I can try and get back to how I perform best.
Right. Um, well, I caught something in there. You mentioned, if you're feeling down on yourself or you're um, frustrated at an outcome, um, trying to do the best job you can to pick other guys up and put your energy into other people. Uh, you know, and I think that's so hard for a baseball player who's just committed an error or just struck out or given up a grand slam, something like that. Um, and it takes practice, but especially at a younger age where, again, you feel things harder. um I think getting into that mindset of, okay, I understand how bad I feel. I understand how awful this may look and how I'm experiencing it. But if I can pause for a second and put my energy and focus into other people, into the guys that are playing with me, that can really relieve a ton of anxiety. Now, in the first couple of times you try it, it's, I've done it myself, where it's just like, I all I want to do is sulk. I just want to sit here and throw a pity party.
Right.
I want to get angry at the world. I want to get angry at, myself or somebody else, whatever it is. If you can stop that train of thought and that, and kind of those emotions, not stifling them, but redirect that energy into using your voice, going up to somebody on your team and either starting a conversation with them or trying to motivate them or something like that. It's really powerful. And that's a level of unselfishness that it took a long time for me to figure out. um, you know Catching yourself is the first part of it. I think catching yourself is huge. When you can kind of step outside of yourself and say, okay, I'm catching myself sulking, I'm catching myself throwing a pity party. Um, now it's time for me to put my energy and concentration into other people. And we do that not just in baseball, we do that in life in general. You're running a family, had a bad day at work, something bad happened. Instead of saying, woe is me, I suck or whatever, let's put it into something else. And if you can do it for other people, I mean, that's you're taking your negative energy and turning it into positive energy. But for players that are experiencing failure for the first time, that's really hard to cope with. So, what we try to tell ourselves all the time, or tell our guys all the time, is, having a selfless attitude. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't be angry. It doesn't necessarily mean you can't be pissed off. It doesn't necessarily mean you can't, punch the helmet rack for a second. You can do that, but then after that happens, put your energy and focus into other people. And that's a mental toughness thing. I think that's a big part of it. The other part of mental toughness, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but I think not allowing your emotions to get too high or too low. I think that's a learned trait. For example, let's say if you got bases loaded, 2 outs, full count, whatever it may be. You're down a run, runners at second and third. You need to put together a quality at bat and possibly drive those two guys in. Are you a guy who sits there and drops and drives and tries to hit it over the fence? Or are you a guy who stays within their approach, stays within their goals, and can stay within that emotional realm of, I'm trying to just do a job here. I've got to have a good 2-strike approach. Or, if it's a 3-1 count, let's try to get out in front of it. I think mental toughness in that realm is the ability to emotionally stay in your approach and execute it the best as possible, instead of letting the perceived pressure of the moment dictate what you do.
Absolutely.
I'm allowing myself to, or I'm getting myself into that realm of, I've got a job to do, and I'm going to get the energy from, or the thoughts from up here down in my body. Being able to do that is, I think, mental toughness. And I think the hard part about that mental toughness piece is it takes so many times of failing to get there. And I think people get so discouraged, myself included, of failing over and over and over and over again. And at some point realizing, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I've got to make some sort of a change. And it's hard to explain and analyze, but that is true. It's a level of maturity. It's a level of mental toughness. Um, I'm kind of going on a rant here, but
Oh, this is
it's a it is a really, really tough thing to do, especially if you're a younger player and you're experiencing failure for the first time. So, yeah, let's be pissed off for a second. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the carryover from striking out to end the inning with runners in scoring position to making two errors in the field, that's lack of mental toughness.
right.
Or if you're a pitcher, at a younger level, if you strike out with the bases loaded and then you go out and walk the first two hitters because you're pissed off about your at bat, that's lack of mental toughness. Um, and measuring that and seeing that is hard. But as coaches, we try to make our players aware of that as much as possible. How do you respond from failure? What do you do after you make a mistake? What are you given, or what do you do with the opportunities after a mistake that are given to you? But I mean, how many times have you yourself experienced failure, striking out with the bases loaded, giving up a home run, making a big time error?
So many times. I mean, you can relate to that too. It
Yeah.
happens all the time. And like you said, the first couple of times when it happens, you kind of don't know how to process it. You're kind of scrambled. You feel like you're in that spotlight, and whether you sit next to the coach or you're sitting all the way at the end of the dugout by yourself, you feel like you have this spotlight on you, and every guy in the room or on the field or even in the stadium is on you, and you're just kind of stuck, and you feel like you're spiraling, and everything's moving super fast. Your heart starts racing. You definitely get a little anxious. So I think just having a routine. We're all creatures of habits, and after the first couple of times, you kind of don't know how to process it, but you definitely have to be aware of your emotions and how you're feeling and what your body language is saying. So just come up with a routine. Try and come up with a routine of, all right, I'm gonna go put my helmet down. I can be pissed off in the moment for 10 seconds, and then once I put my batting gloves back in my helmet, I got to move on. I got to go try and pick up my teammate or have him pick me up. But yeah, it's in the moment it sucks. But it can spiral quickly. If you can't put it behind you or put it past you, like you said, you can bring it out to the field, and you're not ready for that first pitch, and that's when the ball finds you, and then you're like, oh crap. But it takes you doing that once and not understanding how to go through it for you to realize that you kind of got to change your ways, and um otherwise quickly find yourself on the bench or out of a job, and obviously that's the last thing you want. So
Sure. Well, I think we've all gotten to that point of, things spiraling out of control, and we, quote unquote, lose it. But it's a natural process. I mean, it's really easy for a coach to go up to a player and say, "Hey, don't let it affect you. Hey, it's fine. Don't worry about it." And what's the first thing you're going to say as a player? You don't know how this feels. Like, it sucks. Like, you don't even want to hear it, right? But in reality, like, it really doesn't. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter that much. I know it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, if you can use those as learning experiences and say, okay, what did I do wrong? How am I going to change it? But I think what's so hard as humans, as emotional people, um, how the battling that initial feeling of crap, I hate this, I want to escape, I want to go somewhere else. The fight or flight mechanism, I want to bash the helmet rack, I want to, mouth off to the coach, whatever it is. I think that the initial part of stopping those emotions feels very unnatural. Because when something bad happens, we want to throw a fit. It
it's
goes back
almost
to,
easier. It honestly is almost easier to go throw your helmet or
it's way easier.
punch a bat or yell and throw an F-bomb or swear word out there.
Yeah.
But it's part of it. It's the growth and the process of maturing, and um just being able to control your emotions and yourself
Yeah.
and move on.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think you need to be emotionless.
No, absolutely
That's
not.
not, I don't think you can survive in the world or baseball without having emotions. I mean, you need them. But again, I talked with Mac about, finding that edge and playing with that edge. You want to have emotion, but you don't want to have the emotion spill over. You don't want to be so emotional that you can't function. So finding that line is really crucial, especially when you're playing at the 11, 12, 13, 14 U level, um, where we're much more emotional than we are when we're 21. um, Figuring out how much emotion I should let in and how much I need to cope with, take some deep breaths and move forward. And again, we talk a lot about doing the things that you want to do versus the things that you have to do. I mean, what do you want to do in that situation that you make an error or strike out with bases loaded? I want to throw my bat across the field and throw my middle fingers up to baseball and say I'm done with this game, right? That's what we want to do. I want to do that, but you can. And sometimes you don't get your way and you're just going to have to deal with it. And that is a really hard concept to get sometimes. Um, so yes, the things that you don't want to do that you have to do are really important, but doing them for the first time, it sucks. It really does. And that's what I'm trying to tell our younger guys, you know, we got to move on from it. We've got to move on from it. We've got to move on from it. And it's tough. It's tough for them to do it because they're young. And I get that. I didn't have a great attitude when I was a teenager. I was
I
one of
mean,
the worst. I was
I
the one
don't,
of the worst. Like I would throw my stuff across the the dugout, and my dad who was coaching me would yell at me and say like, you can't do that stuff. And I would say like, you don't know how this feels and all this other stuff. And it got to the point where I just was like, I can't operate like this any longer. I can't
right.
do it.
And I think as a young kid, like it almost might be a red flag if you don't feel like that or have anger or
Right.
the like rages. It probably means that one, you're probably not playing the right sport, or
Yeah.
you are just kind of out there to have a social event with your friends and just kind of have fun and be there. But if you're a competitive kid and you take it serious and you go about things the right way, you're absolutely gonna feel that rage and that fire. But
Right.
um
I
yeah,
mean, do you have to as a player, do you have to be overly emotional to show that you care? Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I think,
Everyone out there everyone out there around your team knows that, like, if I say I strike out with the bases loaded in the ninth inning, like everyone knows I'm not trying to strike out. I don't want to strike out.
yeah,
Like I didn't do it on purpose.
right.
Um, Maybe the moment got the best of me or the pitcher made some good pitches. And I have to learn from that. I have to learn from that failure and just do a better job
Yeah,
the next time.
yeah. Well, I think when players, there's a part of our mental or our mentality that says, if I don't show emotion right here, I'm showing the world that I don't care, or I'm showing the coaches that I don't care. And I talk a lot about, I'd much rather have a bunch of kids with some fire to them,
Absolutely.
and then tell them to calm down. But not everybody shows emotion or care level through acts of violence, so to speak,
Right.
uh, through punching a wall or from slamming a bat down. That is one way to show that you care. But something I've struggled with as a coach is, if kids aren't doing that, it shows me that they don't care as much. And I don't think that's the case. I've learned that. I think 95% of the kids do care. They care a lot. But everybody processes things differently,
Absolutely.
and they show their care level through different ways. So I'm trying to do a better job as a coach of seeing that, and and understanding and trying to reach people through different ways instead of like, I want a bunch of emotional kids and I got to calm them down. I mean, it's more fun to coach them. Don't get me wrong. Like kids are into it. Like they're shouting and screaming. Like that's great. But that doesn't mean that those kids care more than some other kids. Not necessarily.
Right. That's part of being a leader is like whether you're a coach or a teammate or a coworker is some guys are more vocal than other guys. Some guys go about their business by the way they show up every day and play. So I mean it's definitely easier to for me at least, like playing I wanted someone that kind of like yelled at me or got on me. It helped
Yeah.
lock me in quicker. So you got to understand how to talk to some kids, and some kids can take it like that, other kids don't like that, and it kind of um makes them less aggressive or more passive.
Right.
So
I mean,
kind of
what I found with, some of the kids that I coach is, the yelling and screaming does work on some.
right.
But I think, a really effective thing that I've realized is sometimes the kids just need to know that you've got their back.
Hmm.
You can yell and scream at them all day. And if that doesn't work, then, I think a lot of people are just like, I'm just going to brush them to the side and give up on them.
Right.
Uh, I've had conversations with a lot of kids and just saying that, listen, man, like I believe in you, but I need you to believe in yourself. And I just think, some conversation along those lines does way more than the yelling and screaming. I'm not saying you can't yell and scream. Sometimes that's the best way. Sometimes it's not. But the art of coaching is just trying to figure out what buttons to press and for each person. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It is really hard because my natural tendency is to go out there and fix it immediately and say, do this, do that, and yell and scream. And um, so, yeah, I think, as I've gotten older, it's become a lot more apparent that that doesn't work as much. But who are who are some of the let me start that over. I mean, let's go to baseball here for a second. From an infielding perspective, and I only do videos with infielders because I can relate to them. So haven't done any pitchers yet, but the from an infielding perspective, I mean, what are some of the things that I have taught you or Mac has taught you or somebody in pro ball has taught you from a fielding perspective? Like what makes a great shortstop or an infielder for that matter? And I'm not necessarily talking about, technique. I'm talking about everything, intangibles, being a leader, all that kind of stuff.
And I think the biggest thing is um one, you got to be ready for I mean, you got to anticipate the ball is going to get hit to you on every single play. If you don't have that mindset that I'm going to get this ball on every single play, then that's when I mean you're caught with a lack of focus, and that's when the ball gets hit to you and you're not ready for it, and you make an error, you're lazy, you get lazy with your feet, and so I think that's the biggest thing is just like I have to anticipate that every single pitch that is thrown is going to be hit right at me every single time. Because then I get caught with a lack of focus or I get lackadaisical, and it's just the ball finds you when you're in those moments.
So
So
that's not a physical skill.
no, not at all. That's
That is
just
not a
in
physical
your
skill.
mind. You could be the worst infielder, the worst mechanical fielding, but if you have that mindset that you're gonna try and go make every single play or know that the ball's gonna get hit to you on every single play, then you're gonna be better off than not. If you have all the skill in the world and you're kind of sitting there staring in the stands or just not ready, that's when the ball finds you and takes a hop you're not ready for, and
Mhm.
it's an
Uh,
error.
yeah. Um, for also from a, going along those lines, I try to get, or we talk a lot about, pushing our limits, so to speak, and pushing ourselves past what our mind perceives is our limit. And what I mean by that is, I talked with another shortstop a couple of days ago that I coached at Tulane. Really, really good shortstop. Could really just play defense really well. And we talked a little bit about looking at a ball, and your mind immediately goes to, I can't make that play. I can't get to that ground ball. I don't have the physical mental ability to get that ball, throw the runner out. Talk for a minute about kind of pushing yourself beyond that mentality, and seeing and just trying to see what you're capable of, especially from a training perspective. If you're practicing, if you got, say you got 30 minutes of individual defense and you're getting a bunch of ground balls, just talk about the importance of taking risks and diving, and seeing which plays you can make, seeing which plays you actually can't make, and pushing yourself beyond the doubt of, I don't think I can get to that ball. I can't, if I jump for this ball, it's not going to matter. Basically, like, I'm going to give up on this ball, if that makes sense.
Oh, I think it definitely starts. It's a mental thing for sure, and it definitely starts in practice, because you can't just go. You can't go out there in a game and be kind of out of control and reckless. You still have to play under your limits, and at your speed, whatever speed that is. Some guys can't play out of control, but it definitely starts in practice, and it's a mindset of whether it's in fungos or live reps or a game you're playing in a little scrimmage, is that I always had the mindset of, like, I'm not letting anything get past me. I was always on the left side, so I would tell the third baseman, like, hey, we're hockey goalies, and this is a wall, and if a ground ball is hit over here or line drive, we are going to make the play, or we're going to try and make the play. So I think it's definitely mindset. Don't get me wrong, you're not going to make every single play, but it's like you said, it's you pushing your mind to the limits and your physical abilities to limits. But I definitely think it starts with the mental side of kind of visualizing certain plays, a backhand play where you got to slide it like deep in the hole, or a ball up the middle. So if you think about it first, and then you can verbalize it, but it starts mentally, and I think it starts in practice of saying, hey, I'm a goalie, and you can't, I don't care how hard you hit it or how soft you hit it, you cannot get a ball past me, or there's not a ball that I can't make a play on. So just thinking about what you can push your mind to, and then testing it out physically,
Yeah.
is
How
how you
many how many plays or how many balls have you gone after in your career, you think, that you actually didn't make the play?
plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty.
But do you consider that wasted effort?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, there's balls that I can get to that I can't make a throw on in time to whatever base I'm trying to throw to. But I mean, that doesn't discourage me at all. I know that if you hit another ball at me, that I'm gonna make that play, and I'm gonna get you out. So I know I can't get to every play, but I'm gonna damn well try my best to
Yeah.
get to it.
Yeah. Well, where did you get your confidence from? Where do you get that mental edge from? Where do you get that I'm not going to let any ball get past me? Where does that come from? Because I don't think anyone's, born with it. It happens throughout time, but how did that confidence get to you, and why do you have that today?
I think it started in high school. For whatever reason, I just, like, defense. It's not that it came easy to me. I just always loved that part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think it starts with me being able to be selfless and try and do something for someone else. So I'm trying to make plays for my pitcher. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing his job out there, but I'm trying to help him out and make plays. So I think it started in high school, where I just I wasn't the most confident hitter, um, but defensively, when a ball was hit to me, whether it was in the air or on the ground, um, I just knew that I had the ability to what I thought make every single play. Um, and I was able to just kind of run with it and ride with it and understand that defense was kind of my strength at that time. So I knew that as long as I keep putting in the work and um just trust myself in my hands, that I can